Talk about a Friday night news dump. Arkansas State's AD, Jeff Puriton, resigns. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Coastal and App State both won, but had bad losses. So their RPI fell, especially App State's. And then the Sunbelt RPI slipped overall. They're kind of going to be in that 7th spot. But before we get going to Jeff Puriton resigning on Friday night, or at least that's when the reports came out, A-State Nation was all over it. Even Pete Thamel credited A-State Nation first. Got to wish a happy birthday to Mama Schultz, 85 years old today, and was on the way to the YMCA, not to work out once, but to work out twice. She actually has a class and then has a little coffee and then goes to the personal trainer, which she does once a week. It's crazy. So happy birthday to my mom. We're all getting together next month for big celebration. So happy birthday, Mom, 85 years young today. All right. So Friday night, we got a little news dump that Arkansas State's AD Jeff Puriton resigns. And I don't know how much of a news dump it is anymore. That used to be things that would come out on Friday night that, nobody reads the Saturday paper anymore. But nobody reads the paper to begin with. So it's not so much of a news dump anymore. But that was pretty surprising. Oddly enough, our paths didn't quite cross, but we worked in the same area. When I worked at the Jim McLean Golf School at the Doral, which is in Doral, he was at the Orange Bowl, which is headquarters 40 blocks up or so. May not quite be in Doral, but it's not too far off because I interviewed, not for that job, but something a couple of years later. And from what I see, Jeff Puriton comes from the media relations side. I don't know exactly what he did at Alabama besides media relations, but usually ADs come from the money side because they're raising the money. Okay. And so somewhere along the way, he switched tracks and got to be AD of Arkansas State, which is obviously a pretty well-compensated position. I don't know if people realize it's well compensated. It is generally not overly compensated. There's very few, if any, ADs making millions of dollars. I know what Greg Byrne is making it at Alabama or the Ohio State AD or the LSU AD. But those would be high 6, low 7-figure deals. No AD is making $5 million as far as I know. All right. Nonetheless, and I downloaded it so I can see it. Jeff Puriton was making $400,000 a year, which I'm going to guess can go a long way in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Okay. And so now he leaves for an executive position with Learfield. All of this is just being reported. He hasn't come out and said anything yet. That could come later today. But A-State Nation reported it. Pete Thamel reported it. And so it's out there. He's going to Learfield. For those who don't know, all right, the way things used to be is the colleges would sell all of their radio, all of their signage, promotions, whatever the case is. That has been changed in the last certainly more than 10 years, maybe 20 years, where Learfield only used to have the radio rights to the games. All right. But now they've expanded, certainly over the last 20 years, to where they buy everything from the university and they sell it. So they sell the signage that you may see at the football stadium on the scoreboard. They'll do the signage that those mid-court signs change. Some places have, signage on the court. Surprised we don't have center field with promotion yet, but those kind of things. All right. And that's what they do. All right. So I know with the Cajuns, they promised the Cajuns a lot of money. I think they're up to like $2.5 million. So they have to generate a lot of revenue before they see any money. So they have to sell football, basketball, baseball, softball, right? Those are, I'm not sure if softball at a lot of places makes a lot of money. But those are the kind of things that they do. They'll sell the signage there, right? Some places have soccer that are big. Lacrosse is big at some schools. So that's what they do. All right. It'd be interesting to know if Jeff Puriton took a pay cut to do this, because he's on track. Obviously, Arkansas State is incredibly in a good position. I know the previous AD put it in a good position. He's now at UCF. But Jeff Puriton was on track to get, a nice big-time group of 5 job, or bigger group of 5 job, or a power 5 job or power 4 job, whatever we're doing now, right? Stepping up to the big boys, where he would make $750,000, $800,000 a year, something along those lines. But he decided to get out and go to the other side of the deal, the sponsorship part of the deal. So I don't know. I can't imagine he's just going to be in charge of, Learfield, A-State. That would be a huge pay cut. Personally, if you're just in charge of what Learfield's doing at Arkansas State, if Arkansas State has the deal with Learfield, I don't know that. But that's kind of a high 5, low 6-figure job per se. So he's probably an executive making somewhere, in that, 2.5, 3.5, $250,000, $350,000 deal, unless he did get a much bigger deal. Because it is interesting, because he's in line to get, double his salary. Did he leave specifically for the money? Because obviously no one's blaming him for that. Or did he leave because he sees what's going on? And it's impossible to get a grip on what's going on in college sports right now until the rules and guidelines are set. I mean, this had just come out. Our guy, Ross Dellinger, this is Monday morning putting this, all right, has tweeted out. Let me see what time this was tweeted out. This was tweeted out at 8:16 Eastern time. The NCAA D1 Board of Directors is poised to vote today to eliminate 150 plus NCAA rules. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. It's contingent on House settlement approval. Many are long-standing restrictions related to amateurism. The NCAA rulebook, notoriously large, is getting a trim. Okay. Like, they're going to start handing out 6 and 7 years of eligibility. Like, as long as you're in college, apparently you can play, which is a little bit ridiculous. You could be on the Van Wilder track and just take your time and stay in college. And all of a sudden you're 23, 24, 25 playing with 18-year-olds. That's wrong as far as I'm concerned. But it does appear that Jeff Puriton went to the other side and just going to be on the sponsorship deal and not dealing with a headache of, his team's always losing players. Maybe his coach is moving on, right? He's got the athletic program at A-State has never been in a better spot overall, I think. Basketball's had 2 great years, fell short in their, chance of the NCAA tournament. I get it, but still record-setting number of wins. Football team won a bowl game for the first time in a long time. Baseball team has a great pitching staff, right? They are heading in the right direction. But Jeff Puriton bowed out because it would appear, again, he doesn't like the direction that college sports is going. So he's getting out of the administration of the college sports and just going to the sponsorship side of things. So we do wish him luck. It'll be interesting to see what he says. If anybody asks why now, it'd be refreshing if they gave me 50% more money. All right. Well, that answers that question. Is that the only reason? Because if he took a pay cut to get out of what is a headache job, that would make interesting news as well. So we'll see. I guess I presume he got more money because he was on the way to getting more money. So I'm not sure if anyone takes less money for less stress these days. And then that seems to be the opposite of the way things go on. All right, let's take a timeout. I kind of feel like I talked out of both sides of my mouth during that segment, but and I only have one mouth, so I screwed that up as well. Anyways, let's take a timeout. Let's go over what happened over the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So we got to check out the RPI. I want to give you a good example of a team that is red hot that could be a thorn in the Sun Belt's side. We will do that right after I tell you about Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to get you help with the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always get to talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code S-H-5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so an interesting week for the Sun Belt. Did the Cajuns? The Cajuns may have. Did the Cajuns? I thought maybe the Cajuns swept. Maybe they didn't. I thought they were, but then they didn't. So again, all these games are important as we're looking for RPI, right? And we still got 4 teams that are headed there. Some teams are playing for seeding in the tournament, like App State. And App State missed an opportunity to tie for second because they lost to JMU. All right. And let's quickly look at the RPI. I mean, they were having a really good weekend, was App State. They won the first game 9-4 against James Madison. They won the second game 4-2, but then they lose 10-6. And so what happens with that is that they fall down and fast. Again, I'm not sure. That's the standings. Hold on. Conference RPI. Did I get that right? Let's see here. All right. Oh, no, we don't have the conference RPI. Okay. That's not what I want. Anyways, their RPI fell to 42. Or I'm sorry, dropped 22 to like 166. Now, having said that, they're not in a position to where they're going to get an at-large berth. But the point is, one bad loss to JMU falls you 22, right? They were 144, now they're 166. That's a big difference, okay? We can do the same thing with Coastal Carolina. All right, Coastal Carolina, they had a little bit of a bad loss, and they dropped 5 spots. So they went from 8 to 13. That's the difference from being a national seed. Now you got to sweat it out to get seeded at all at 13, part of the Sun Belt. All right. So Coastal Carolina, they won their first game 11-1 over Marshall in 7 innings. They won the second game 10-0. All right, in 7 innings. So they haven't even played 2 9-inning ball games. But Marshall, I was wrong. Coastal Carolina sweeps them and still fell. That's even a better example. Why did I think they lost a ball game? I do not know. This has been a great episode, hasn't it? So they actually swept them. They swept Marshall, but fell 5 spots. That's a killer. That's bad. That hurt you. That's where some of that RPI comes into play. I don't know why I thought, well, I'll tell you why. They slipped, so I figured they lost. But they literally sweep Marshall and lose 5 spots. They go from 8 when they should have moved up down to 13. Whew. So now we got to look at Coastal Carolina and who they play the rest of the way. I mean, James Madison ain't going to help. App State's not going to help. ULM's not going to help. And Old Dominion's not going to help. They got a game against Clemson. That's 7, right? I think they lost to Clemson earlier this year. Oh, no, they beat Clemson 8-2. Okay. Everything else is 120. Old Dominion's 121. They have an oddly high RPI for the record. ULM is 158, much improved, but still a $158. App State's 166. James Madison is 175. Coastal's in a bad spot in terms of looking to be a national seed. That's probably not going to happen. So if we go to Warren Nolan predicted results, they are 30-10 right now. Okay. 30-10. He predicts them to have one more loss, 44-11. That's amazing. He predicts they're going to win every game except the Clemson game, which is 6-5. All right. And the thing is, they still fall. They fall to 15. So that's amazing. So what do they got? 15 games left. They're going to win 14 out of 15 games and still fall from 13 to 15. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that's where some of that RPI comes back to hurt the Sun Belt that is not as strong as it has been in the past. This is what I did want to show this, where the Sun Belt is falling. Is it 1,000th? Maybe 100,000th. It had been, 5.26 something to 0.523 something. So it was, 0.003, the difference. But now that's getting closer to 0.006 is the difference. And so it's a wider gap between Conference USA, which is 6th in the nation, and Sun Belt, which is 7th in the nation. In fact, the Sun Belt is barely ahead of the American Athletic. They got a good shot at falling to 8. That does not help schools out. All right. And we'll show you that. Let's show you that right now. All right. Actually, because my guy, Mike Glavin over at Northeastern is on fire. All right. And it's right where the Sun Belt would be. So you see Troy is 39. All right. Southern Miss is 42. My guy Glavin is 35. They play in the CAA. All right. Northeastern is 35. I certainly follow him. I presume they're one of the hottest teams in the entire nation. I believe they have won 10 in a row. 9 out of 10. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 18 out of 19. 18 out of 19. All right. Now, they don't have any RPI games left either, to be fair. The teams that they're playing are bad. Like, they can't afford maybe to lose anything else. They got Monmouth at 193, Harvard, which is 275, Delaware 156, UMass Lowell is 277. They got William and Mary 261, Connecticut is 46. That's respectable. And North Carolina A&T, which is 235. So there's a lot of pressure on Northeastern to not lose a game. And Warren Nolan actually has them losing twice. Once to William and Mary and once to Connecticut. The game is at Connecticut, I guess. But their RPI kind of sticks around the same mark at 36, which is kind of interesting because that's where you want to be, to get that at-large berth. So that's important. All right. We'll come back and look at that RPI from the Sun Belt as well and go over the rest of the conference from the weekend. But that's part of it. So that's one team among many, and I follow them because I know them, So I follow Northeastern, and they are on fire. Like, they don't give up any runs. Their pitching staff is ridiculously good. They have like a dozen shutouts this year. So the idea is not to have to. I always like that. The idea is not to have to win the conference tournament to get in. And Northeastern is putting themselves in that spot to where they could get an at-large berth. The problem is if they lose 1 or 2 games. Now, according to Warren Nolan, it's not going to fall that much. But let's see what happens. Because you fall below 40, then you're really sweating out Selection Monday on Memorial Day. All right, let's wrap it up. When we come back, we'll look at that Sunbelt slipping RPI as well. We'll go over the rest of the conference after I tell you about Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. You get those priority last-minute deals, saving up to 60%, which is what I did when I got Cincinnati Reds opening day tickets, off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And the all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. It's been one of those episodes. I don't know. Passover just ended. I ate too much last night. I had taken off 5 pounds, put the 5 pounds back on, smashed my finger pretty good, lifting weights, doing a tricep extension, banging it against the wall. Not great. It's been a heck of a 12 hours lately, and not seeming to have the smoothest of all episodes, but we'll muddle through. All right. So again, looking at that, let's look at the Sunbelt RPI. Well, there's the conference RPI right there. And again, Sunbelt is closer to 8th than they are to 6th. And that may hurt some teams if we go back to this one. All of a sudden, Troy and Southern Miss, who play each other to end the season, which it shouldn't be too bad as long as one team doesn't get swept. But all of a sudden, does Southern Miss fall into the high 40s, then they're sweating it out. All right. Standings-wise, we can look at this before we go over the rest of the action from the weekend. Coastal Carolina is up by 2 games over Troy and Southern Miss. And again, App State missed that opportunity with a win to get into tied for second, losing that Sunday ball game to JMU and having their RPI plummet. Now, I did want to see the Cajuns took a 2 out of 3 from Old Dominion. I mean, the Cajuns are not having a great season, but they're sitting there at 5th. Is that one of those teams that could make a move in the Sunbelt Conference tournament? A couple of years ago, they got to the finals, right? They eliminated Coastal Carolina, and they lost to Southern Miss in the championship, and that propelled them into a regional. The Cajuns' RPI is just bad right now. Is it even in the so they would have to win. They got to win, right? Let's see what that's the standings. Let's see if we got I thought I had RPI standings. No. I thought I had one more. All right, maybe not. Remove the wrong thing. All right, remove. Okay. Again, been one of those episodes. All right, so let me see. You're going to have just to listen without looking. So Coastal Carolina is, again, they're 13th. Troy is 39. Southern Miss is 42. Cajuns are 115, so they got to win the conference tournament. They can't get to the finals and think they're going to get in that large berth. That's not going to happen. App State is 166. Georgia Southern, they did take 2 out of 3 from Arkansas State. So that's a good job by Georgia Southern. Georgia State is in 6th place. And again, you want to be in the top 6 to avoid that first play-in series. Texas State, Arkansas State, and Old Dominion are tied for 8th. South Alabama, I think South Alabama actually won a series against Texas State. ULM is 12th, Marshall is 12th, and James Madison are 12th, all at 6 and 12. So they're not going to get in. The question is, can South Alabama get into that tournament? That would be the question. Can South Alabama get in? They did take, I'm pretty sure they just took 2 of 3 from Texas State. They did, winning 15-5 and 10-2, losing the middle ball game 8-6. Now they got to go to Marshall. That's not going to be easy. Then they get Troy at home. That's not going to be easy. They do get App State at home, but then they got to go to Monroe. I mean, are they going to win? Hey, are they going to win any of those series? You got to think they can beat the App State at home deal. But they do get Troy at home. Can they take care of Troy at home? That'll be the big deal. Can you go to Marshall and take 2 out of 3? And if you can, do you beat Troy at home 2 out of 3? I mean, if you win the last 4 series, you're probably going to get in if you're South Alabama. You gotta think that's what we got to do. Just win each series. Not a spot where they're going to sweep if that ULM series was at home, but I'd say that, but that's more perception than anything else because South Alabama is just right ahead of ULM. They're not that much better. So that's not going to be easy. I'm sure South Alabama or ULM is thinking the same thing. Why can't we win the series or sweep South Alabama to get it? All right. So again, we still have in the Sun Belt, still basically have 3 teams that are NCAA bound as of April 21st. All right. Which means we have 4 series left. We got a month left before the conference tournament. And so you got Coastal, which is still looking like they're going to host, although not national seed as of right now. And Troy and Southern Miss. Troy, top 40. Southern Miss just outside of the top 40. Let's look at that. I want to look at Southern Miss, what they can be. They're 27-13, RPI at 42. So let's see what they got left. They got App State in Boone. They got Arkansas State. They got the Cajuns, and they finished with Troy. So, again, that's not going to be great either to help out their RPI. Let's see what Warren Nolan does with his predicted results. From 27-13 to 40-15. So he's only got 2 losses, and that gets them up all the way to 32. Well, that would be huge, okay? So the 2 losses are they actually not having them losing a game, sweeping App State in lovely Boone, North Carolina. That's not going to be easy. Sweeping Arkansas State, that would be interesting because Arkansas State has some good pitching, but they just lost 2 out of 3 on the road to Georgia Southern. Sweeping the Cajuns at home, not ridiculous, but losing to Troy 2 out of 3, although taking the Friday night ball game. All right. That would help if they only had 2 more losses. And obviously, if you finish in the top 35, you should get a nationals. You should get an invite, an at-large berth. All right, I would not be sweating it if I was a Southern Miss at that point in time. Okay, so we do have today off and Wednesday off. We're going to see if we can still get some football coaches. They probably have scattered now. You got to get a little time off. I know the portal is out there, but somewhere along the way, there's going to be some family time. So we'll see if we can get some coaches on. Still hoping to get a new coach at App State. Still hoping to get Del McGee. Haven't spoken to him at all. We have had Ricky Ronnie on a little bit. So we're going to see if we can get the head coach of ODU on. He's always been kind enough to come on. All right. And you never know who may show up to Louisville for the Kentucky Derby. You just never know who we may bump into. All right. So everybody have a great Monday. It's a little rainy, although not chilly, in the mid-60s, which is refreshing. But it is a little bit wet outside here in Louisville. So have a great Monday. We'll have another episode on Tuesday. Let's see quickly. What do we have for? We do have almost a full slate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ball games on Tuesday, including Texas State hosting Texas. And then you do have a handful of games on Wednesday, the 23rd. The big one being James Madison at Virginia. That would help out in a big way. All right. Again, have a great Monday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll try to, be a little bit more coherent on Tuesday. You've been watching and listening Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day.